Hello everyone, this is Deekshita. Today we are going to see about Bezier spline curves. Introduction to Bezier spline curves. Bezier spline curves are the type of mathematical curve that are used in computer graphics and modeling. They are defined by a set of control points that determine the shape of the curve. Bezier spline curves are widely used in computer 3D animation, 3D modeling, and drawing applications. Let's see the properties of Bezier spline curves. The properties are Bezier spline curves are smooth and can be used to create both simple and complex shapes. Like we can create any types of different shapes. The curve is defined within the convex hull of its central control points, which means it does not extend beyond them. Bezier spline curves can be manipulated by changing the position of the control points. Here is Bezier curve that was developed by Paul D. E. Castelgio in 1959 and independently by Perry Bezier 1962. Types of Bezier spline curves. There are different types of Bezier spline curves such as simple Bezier curve, quadratic Bezier curve, and cubic Bezier curve. Quadratic Bezier spline curves have three control points and form the curve segment. Here we can see in the second diagram. And cubic Bezier spline curves have four control points and can create more complex curves with the multiple segments, which is in the third diagram. And the last one is higher degree Bezier spline curves can be created by adding more control points in between. Interpolation with Bezier spline curves. Bezier spline curves can be used to interpolate between 2 points, smoothing a curve that passes through those points. Interpolation with Bezier spline curves, which allow for precise control over the shape of the curve. By adjusting the position and weight of the control points, different interpolation effects, like we can achieve different interpolation effects. Let's see the difference between other curves and Bezier spline curves. Bezier spline curves are different from other curves such as B-splines, NURBS in terms of their mathematical representation and control point arrangement. Bezier spline curves are generally easier to understand and manipulate for most users. However, the other curves that may differ more flexibility and control in certain applications. Now let's see what are the applications of Bezier spline curves. Here are few. Bezier spline curves are commonly used in computer graphics for creating a smooth and organic shapes such as character animations, logos, and illustrations. They are also used in 3D modeling software to create complex surfaces and curves. Bezier spline curves can be found in various design tools such as Adobe Illustrator, Autodesk Maya, and Blender. Bezier spline curves is very helpful in scaling, rotation, and translation of surfaces, which is required in a digitalized geographical maps. Now, what are the limitations of Bezier spline curves? Bezier spline curves are sometimes produce undesirable visual artifacts such as sharp corners or abrupt changes in curvature. Creating a complex shape with Bezier spline curves may require a large number of control points, which can be time consuming to adjust. Bezier spline curves are not well suited for representing certain types of curves, such as self-intersecting or highly irregular shapes. Like we can see here, um, B spline curve, moving a control point effects of the shape for the entire curve, that is global modification property. Thus, thus this B-spline curve, the degree of the curve is independent and the number of control points. For example, we have B-spline curve of degree 3 defined by 8 control points. We can see here one. We have 8 control points here in this, which are represented with blue. What are the tips for working with the Bezier spline curves, which means which makes it look effective, and we can work properly, or we can achieve the curves in the particular manner we need. We need to practice, and experimentation are the key for mastering the manipulation of Bezier spline curves. Which means we can try, we have to try the multiple curves and try to achieve the curves. Use few control points as possible to achieve the desired shape, as too many control points can lead to unnecessary complexity, which means we have to have very few or limited control points. If we have multiple control points, it will be complex, and it will be a little difficult. Be familiar with the different types of interpolation methods available for Bezier spline curves, such as linear, quadratic, cubic, and also some simple type of Bezier spline curves. Now let's see the conclusion. Bezier spline curves are the powerful tool for creating smooth and precise curves in computer graphics and modeling. It is one of the most important tool we use for creating some curves in computer graphics. Understanding the properties, types, and the applications of Bezier spline curves can greatly enhance your ability and visually appealing design. Like understanding this topic, it is we can create many multiple designs easily. Like we can have some effective design. We can create some effective design. And with the practice and experimentation of these Bezier spline curves, can be invaluable asset in the creative toolkit. Thank you. Thank you.